Hey y'all, we back in it to win it. What's happening? Okay, everybody wants to know, why does U.S. soccer suck so much? Because we're garbage. We're garbage. We don't produce anything. But before we talk about that, make sure you guys like, subscribe, hit that notification button, man, so y'all can stick with me and watch me on this journey as I discover international football. Why this sport has captured my heart. Why is it a new hobby of mine? So for people who need a little catching up to do, and this is their first time watching one of my videos and one of my streams, I'm a person that has discovered international football, or like we would like to say in America, is soccer, and fell in love with it. So now we're going through the whole journey. People done saw me learn the rules and the regulations, what FIFA is about. I actually did a video on the corruption and what's going on with that. And I also told you guys, make sure you comment what players I should look into with their careers. You know, the first career we're gonna go into, Ronaldo, and then we're gonna do Messi, and then anybody else after that. Let me know in the comments who I should, check out. Who careers should I catch up on? Cause that's what I'm basically doing. I'm basically trying to catch up with over 100 years of football, and you guys are watching that journey. And we're gonna have streams and vlogs of us going to the game. But the topic at hand: why do we suck as people in the United States when it comes to this game? Like I said in the other videos before, because they don't bring it to the hood, we priced out. But I guess they're gonna give us a real reason why. So let's check it out, y'all. Shoo. All right, well, I gotta delete this tab right here. All right, we back into winning right here.
After taking over as sporting director of US Soccer in 2023, Matt Crocker hired sports data firm 21st Group to investigate a simple question. How many top 50 players had the USA produced in the past 10 years? The answer that came back.
What y'all think? I think two. I think we produced two players that might have been be able to top 50. Come on, 10 years, a decade now? Let's see.
Was zero.
Oh,
but how can that be? America.
Oh, wow. Whoa. Trash. Completely trash. I didn't think that was it. I at least thought we had at least two in 10 years. We didn't produce not one top 50 player in a decade. Come on now.
It produces some of the best sports stars in the world and has continuously dominated at the Olympics, for example. So why can't the United States produce good footballers?
I feel like our basketball players are supposed to be our soccer players. Yo, listen, I feel like our basketball players were supposed to have been our soccer players, and our wide receivers too. Wide receivers and corners were supposed to have been our soccer players, because you gotta use good feet movement. I feel like they were supposed to have been our international football players. When you see somebody that is 6'6", 6'8", moving like that, like there's you gotta look up Ocho Cinco. For people who don't know what Ocho Cinco is, he also goes by the name of Chad Johnson. He was a wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals. And people ask, how come you always got open? Well, he said, because I have good feet. And he is a soccer fanatic. And the feet make sense. So, yeah, we should have had more wide receivers and corners and basketball players. And promise, we would have a lot of top 50 players.
Well, the short answer to this question is money. Whereas sports like basketball and American football have school programs where children can play to a high standard for free, if you want to receive the best coaching in soccer as a child in America, then you're likely to have to join a club. This is not uncommon around the world, but unlike in other nations, where youth development is heavily subsidized by professional clubs or federations, the US system relies on parental contributions known as the pay-to-play system. And these clubs aren't cheap. Legendary Swedish striker Zlatan Ibrahimovic revealed in an interview that if his two children had wanted to play for their local club while he was playing for the LA Galaxy, the annual fee would have been $3,500 per child. Crazy. And that isn't even at the upper end of the spectrum. Some clubs can charge upwards of $10,000 per year.
Listen, do you know what's crazy? They had a camp out here in Vegas, right? And if it wasn't Ronaldo, it was Messi. It was one of them two that I wanted to put my daughter in. And the camp was only 2 weeks, I think. 2 weeks. And they were trying to charge $2,700. And the crazy part was, he wasn't running the camp. It was more or less of a sponsored camp. Or they probably paid to use his name. And you might have probably met him one time. Might have came by Hi Kids and that's it. But it was like only 2 weeks and they would charge like $2,700. Or it might have been $2,700 a week. It was something insane. I was like, and I still thought about sending my daughter because she loves the sport. Right now she's a goalie and her team won. 7-2. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to her. But yeah, like it was crazy. It's crazy. They price you out, and that's why the good kids don't come from the suburbs. I'm gonna let you know that right now. As an American, the kids that are good at sports do not come from the suburbs. Very few come from the suburbs. Yes, you have anomalies. We know things are the exception, not the rule. We understand that. You get some people, it came from there. But usually kids that come from poverty usually are the ones that are good at sports because it's a survivalist attitude. And then you see that also with other players around the world that play international football because you see them come from, favelas or the deep parts of Europe or Africa where they didn't even have nothing and they didn't understand if I don't become the best in the world at this, I would not my family would still be in poverty. I would be stuck. There's nothing I can do. When they have to literally play so they can stop the stomach rumblings. And coming from a more affluent neighborhoods, you're not necessarily going to care about it due to the fact of you know when your next meal is coming. You know you're always gonna have clothes in your bag. You know you're always gonna have a roof over your head. You know you're gonna have the best clothes for school. You know you're gonna be taken care of regardless, whether you win or lose. As opposed to these kids that are coming from poverty, they have to win because they know the stakes that happen when you lose. So that's a lot of reason we don't have those dogs that's playing for life.
For even factoring in things like the cost of travel to out-of-state tournaments. This obviously creates a socioeconomic barrier that's insurmountable for a host of communities.
And you see they show the black kid. They showed the ladder and they show the black kid. You see what he's getting at.
Particularly those from low-income or immigrant backgrounds whose families often carry a generational love for soccer as a sport. And many of these clubs are only accessible by car too, another barrier to entry.
Travel teams.
A 2026 report by the charity Project Play found that 86% of high-income players are driven to practice, while only 21% of low-income players are. Crocker told The Athletic.
So you got to think about this. So even when it comes to the kids, right? When you want certain kids that actually do come from affluent neighborhoods, and they come from affluent neighborhoods, and their parents want them to be athletes or anything like that, that's where you get those parents that end up getting the bad stigma of like being something like Serena father, even though they came from Compton. But kids who they would say have fathers that are hard on them when it comes to sports, and that's the only way they're going to be able to get that drive when you have to have that father that is almost insane and uses his money and resources to invest into that child, to instill that dog in them. So you also get that. That's what that produces. If you want your child and you come from suburbs, yes, you're going to have to end up being the Joe Jackson of the family if you want to see your kids succeed at world-class level into sports.
In 2025, that a young boy in England is never more than 13 minutes away from a free elite program with highly qualified coaches. But the Project Play report found that the barriers to entry in the US have created what's called football deserts. Although there are some from poorer backgrounds who still make it. Clint Dempsey has spoken about how his family had to go into debt to let him play when he was younger. While Tim Howard admitted in an interview with The Athletic that he got lucky because he had youth coaches who were, quote, willing to look the other way. But in youth soccer in the US, it's often how much money your parents have rather than your talent that's the most important thing.
Absolutely. I just had to buy another soccer ball, a professional series, size 5. And I just had to buy my daughter a Neymar jersey. Got to make sure she had cleats, pads, all that. And then she's being scouted for travel team. So when she's also being scouted for travel team, that's going to cost and got to pay for all of that. So yeah, if it wasn't for social media and me being a day trader, a lot of this stuff.
This means that many potential future stars of the US men's national team get lost along the way. A report by US Soccer, the American Football Federation, found that almost half of kids aged 9 to 11 are likely to quit playing soccer within the next year, with around 70% of children quitting by age 14. But even for those children who do find a way to play, things are far from easy. Many feel extreme pressure at having their families invest so much money in them at such a young age.
Yeah.
A survey for the Project Play report.
See how I just said that? How I said the father that has to end up being obsessed because you invested so much money? Yeah.
found that when young players were asked what they least liked about playing on a soccer team, 32% of them said it was too expensive. And the heavy influence of wealthy parents also means that youth clubs are often incentivized to find ways to keep their children enrolled. This can mean that kids whose parents can bring more money to the table are selected to play, even if other children from poorer families deserve to be selected on merit. The large sums of investments from parents also means that they're often looking for value for money.
So the city that I come from, right? I come from probably one of the poorest areas in the United States. I come from Western New York. That's Niagara Falls, Buffalo, Rochester, all of that. And that's considered what they call the Rust Belt, which is basically where all the steel factories were at, and they all dried up, and there was a mass exodus where half of the population left over a 10-year period. It was crazy. And like the cities are left barren. So there's barely any resources, barely any extra programs or anything like that. So because of that, when they do have programs like this, they make sure they like seek out parents that have some type of money. It don't even be on merit or anything like that. But then we also come from a small town to where it's also community based, because they also understand that these parents do not have everything. You get what I'm saying? So you'll get people that, like you said, look the other way. They'll look the other way. Other parents will come in, chip in, and whatever when they see that the kid can be something. But also what's attached to that is you got to do a little something, because that happened to a few basketball players in my city to where they had the potential to make the NBA. One made the NBA, one didn't. But the crazy part was the one that was supposed to make the NBA. That was crazy. But the people that were attached to them that quote unquote looked the other way. So that also happens. So the ones that look the other way and they're like, nah, we got to get some type of payout at the end of this. We done been here about 3, 4, 5 years, investing in you and giving you rides and doing and all that. We got to get some type of chop out. So that's also the dark side that comes with that.
Youth clubs will look to prove this by enrolling in tournaments. On his YouTube channel, Nitro Football, Sean Eubanks, a former youth soccer coach in the US himself, points out that these travel-to-play tournaments are used to rank clubs and the quality of their players. If a club ranks higher, then they're able to charge higher fees in the long run. It also allows them to hold on to the best players and for the coaches to bolster their CVs. The tournaments, though, often feature 3 to 4 90-minute games in the span of 36 hours, meaning that young players are often exhausted and sometimes injured by the time the final games of the tournament come around. At this point, it often comes down to which squads have deeper rosters rather than necessarily the quality of the players.
Putting them kids through the ringer over this sport, boy. That shit different. And it's going to get better in the next 5 years due to the fact that, now that the World Cup has came to the United States, and now you're going to start seeing more budgets and more money and funding going actually into lower income communities. And you're going to see that, from Nike, sport. You're going to see that from the sneaker companies first. Then after you see that from the sneaker companies, and then you'll start seeing sponsors and all of that, and then the local neighborhood business, then they're going to start sponsoring leagues. So it's going to end up growing. It's going to flourish like how we do Little Loop football out here. So for people who don't understand Little Loop football out here, which is American football, boy, that is a culture. If you want to see the same culture that you see in international football, Little League American football is just like that. Insane. Great. Like, you would see adults ring off at these Little Loop football games like how you would see at the World Cup. Different type of atmosphere. Ridiculous. Like that culture, man. I know there's a few documentaries out there about that. You guys need to look into that.
The level of importance of these tournaments also means that teams often focus more on winning than developing players. As children go through puberty and develop at different paces, physical differences can have a huge impact on the outcome of the game. So teams will pick more developed children who can use their pace, physicality, and athleticism to get the upper hand. This means that children who are slower to develop sometimes get left behind, and the technical quality of the players is overlooked. Now, there has been some acknowledgement from senior figures in US soccer that this focus on winning from such a young age is detrimental to technical development, but changing the mindset of the vast and disparate landscape of youth soccer is not easy. Within the youth soccer category in America, there are multiple elite leagues for teens and multiple sanctioning bodies. Within the US Youth Soccer Association, the largest sanctioning body, there are 54 state associations.
Oh yeah, shout out to everybody. Hey, So now I found a way to get my chat. Because when I'm watching, I can't see my chat because I'm only working off of one screen right now. So now I got my stream manager and I can look at everything off my tablet and everything. So now I can see my chat. So when y'all do talk to me, now I can respond now for people that are watching me on Twitch, because now I've started streaming on Twitch. But these are primarily YouTube videos, but you're basically watching me make YouTube videos live. But yeah, I'm streaming on Twitch now, so people that are on Twitch, talk to me in my chat, I can see it now. Okay? Okay.
2 each in California, Texas, New York, and Pennsylvania, each with its own season, own concerns, and own structure. Aligning such a vast and disparate group under one vision is tricky. Now, there have also been attempts to address these socioeconomic barriers to entry too. In the mid-2000s, MLS teams began developing youth academies where playing was free, much like they have in Europe. But instead of breaking down barriers for children from poorer backgrounds, these have often ended up reinforcing the vicious pay-to-play cycle.
Yeah, I don't understand why they do that. It always ends up being pay-to-play every single time. Regardless, capitalism. That is the American way, every time.
Cycle. Often they are just a place for wealthier children to continue their development rather than opening the door for poorer ones.
Yeah, and then when they do that, when they do those type of programs, right, all they see it is as a discount. Still outprices the kids in poverty, but now it's just at a discounted price. You get what I'm saying? Instead of paying that $3,200, they might pay $26, and nobody's not trying to pay that for their child to play a sport that a kid might not be interested into later, might not even be good, or suffer some type of severe injury. There's so many factors at play that'll make this a terrible thing for the kids. So all they gotta do is start putting the soccer pitches at the parks. That's what we got to do at the local parks, not the city parks. There's a difference, because when most of the time when people look at parks in the United States, they think of the city parks, those big giant ones that's acres and all that. No, we're talking about the local neighborhood parks, the ones you're gonna see the jungle gyms at. That's usually a block or two away from your house. Yes, you put a small half soccer pitch there. That's all you got to do, with a goal that they can't move. Nail it down, drill it down, do what you got to do. Just like how you do the basketball court, that soccer pitch should be right next to it. A little half one so the kids can practice. That's all you got to do. And I guarantee you will see an uptick on a lot of young international football players or soccer players.
As former US men's national team assistant coach Anthony Hudson told The Guardian in 2024, "You're not always getting the best players from the community, it's just the ones that can afford to play." And the academies also poach some of the best players from the non-MLS youth clubs, without any form of compensation. This is in contrast to much of the rest of the world, where solidarity payments and compensation are commonplace. And it means that it leaves the youth clubs that have actually produced the players with no financial reward, meaning that they have to continue upping their enrollment fees just to continue existing. Without serious changes to the system, it's hard to see how the production line of talent to the senior team starts to improve. And it looks likely that despite whatever impact the 2026 World Cup may have, the US men's national team could continue to struggle to produce good players for some time to come.
Yep, so in short, like he said, y'all, stop overcharging families that are in poverty, because we understand, we're all not going to be shy here, we're not going to be coy here, that the best players come from poverty. Michael Irvin said it himself. Boy, you better run that route or you're going to run back to the hood. That wasn't a good one. Come on, another one. I'll give you another chance for another one. Chris Tucker is not good. Do another one. That's not. Come on. That's horrible. That's a horrible comparison, man. You can't come into the stream and then be like, hey, you look like this, and just be totally wrong. Come on. Even worse, because we don't even know who that is. We don't even know who that is. When it comes to shooting, you got to make sure it's something everybody knows. Man. Not just, like, I can say dumb stuff. I can say, like, your mama leg one shorter than the other. Oh, yeah, you definitely not American. For sure. I know you're American, because who the hell is that? Who is that? But anyway, man. So, we're going to catch y'all in the next stream. The next video, we're going to learn about, Mr. Ronaldo himself. So, we're going to learn about him. We're going to see what's happening. Y'all be easy. Catch you on the next one. And also, you better make sure you follow too, man. If you want to keep getting your jokes off, make sure you follow right now. I'm about to stream again in like 3 minutes, so you can get more jokes off while I'm streaming.